RTD Live Talk, Detroit's number one YouTube talk show. We are back at it for a interesting, interesting Monday live stream. Looking forward to connecting and finding out what's on your radar. As always, I want to make sure I provide an opportunity for everyone in the community to let their voice be heard. So feel free to let me know where you're watching from in the chat. Any new viewers, any returning viewers, definitely let me know where you're plugging in from. And also, it's no talk show unless you have someone to talk to. So when the phone lines open up, 313-462-00 is the number to call and let your voice be heard. And so lots of interesting subjects to touch on. But one thing that I want to make sure I continue to make you guys aware of, for those that are not too in tune, is that pay attention to the signs. Never mind what you are hearing. Try to weave through the noise and figure out what's really going on. And one thing that I think is worth really mentioning is the fact that literally within 1 month, two pretty significantly, large size economies have been experiencing some form of a bank run / rush down to the bank to try to withdraw something. And of course, Ukraine is not not too big of a nation overall. But once again, millions of people all of a sudden wake up to the reality that things are not what they seem or what they should be like, and decide to go down and get some funds out the bank and have issues doing so. So 3 bank runs in 1 month is definitely something worth touching on top of the other things that I'm going to address as well. So anyway, hope everyone's doing well. For those that are tuning in, definitely show your support for the channel. Hit that thumbs up and let me know where you guys are watching from. And I'll definitely love to shout you out real quick. And also, whatever you guys are hearing, seeing, witnessing in your neck of the woods, feel free to let me know via the chat. And definitely we can bring that up and make that a topic. All right, so let's jump right in, man. So I see more people are being notified, hopefully. As I mentioned, hit the thumbs up button, show your support for the channel. And also, it might work, might not work. Hit the bell notification. You may get notified. But that's why it's important to make sure you plug into other avenues such as the Telegram and the Discord, where there's interaction in the community throughout the day. Anyway, we got LBP checking in. We got Tom checking in. We got Bougie Prepper checking in. Let me see. JoJo. We got, let me see here. DK checking in. Natural Mama checking in. Faith Parent Carl checking in. We got Brian checking in from Texas. Dr. Moda. Will Smith checking in. All right, so a few more people. We got Yarrow, okay, from Dallas. Mike C. James from UK. How you doing, James? Let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods. We got Mike from New Jersey checking in. All right, more people will jump in. And if you guys don't mind, for those that are in the chat, encourage and remind those who do plug in a little bit late to definitely make sure they hit the bell notification and hit that thumbs up to make it easier. Hopefully more people are notified. Appreciate you, the Kira's bricklayer. Appreciate you, man. All right, so let me jump into some things, man. So before I get into the headline stories that we're going to try to navigate through to make, help things make sense, I want to just put share some information with you from the Discord. And as I always mention, if you want to make sure that your stories are heard as well as whatever you're focusing on is heard, put it in the Discord or in the Telegram, and I go through there and grab stuff to highlight it this evening. Brandon, appreciate you, my man. Yeah, so right now things are unfolding at a much faster rate, and I think it's worth touching on. So I want to make sure I remind people that the mainstream news is more propaganda-based than it is actual informative, factual information, just because you can't believe anything. Even me, never believe anybody that's telling you something until you do your own investigative work. And so let me share with you something that was put in the Discord today by one of the community members that really shines light on the fact that you really can't believe what you read or what you hear. So somebody in the Discord put this out there. Appreciate you as always. Here is what looks like the same picture, 2 different headlines, 2 different time frames, but it's circulating as relatively newer news. And once again, could it be the media source? Could it be just the overall, entities that's trying to push this narrative of, extreme conflict, war, yada, yada, yada. But this was something interesting. So we got February 25th of this year. And then we have what looks like March 23rd of 2016 to the far right. So same picture. I'm assuming two different headlines, different time frame. Right. Who do you believe? Yeah. So I'd assume that 2016, that picture might be more accurate, even if that picture is for real. But just something that make you aware of. And here's another one, which I thought was funny. One picture to the right is a post via social media from somebody circulating information based upon what they might have saw, or they might be the creator of this misleading information here. But you see the picture to the left on last week, 2/24/22, and then you see on the right a snippet from a movie called The War of Chimeras from 2017. So similar pictures, same pictures, two different narratives, two different time frames. Who do you believe? Come on now. So anyway, this is just what's circulating out there. So be careful. I know I've dialed back on just accepting everything as face value to use as something to just even question outright. So try to be a little bit more careful on my side. So feel free to let me know what you guys think about that. But here is something else that I want to make sure I bring to your attention. What we're experiencing, and so did you guys, you may not, but maybe you have, let me put something out there. There was a trend, a tweet earlier that caught my attention, and I put it in the Discord, and it has to do with a interview from a mainstream news source, and the reporter was talking to looks like a Ukrainian woman, and she talked about the continuous push. Let me put it on the screen right here. So here's a video right here, and I will play it because I want to chime in on this and share a little something on top of that. But let me just put this up here for you guys. So here is that video here from earlier, and this was this morning. But let me just listen to what she says, and you guys let me know if this actually is something that makes sense. But I'm gonna play this video real quick, and then we'll touch on it further and dive into all the stories I have. So I'll start this over, but in 12 seconds, listen to what she's fighting for.
Right now, it's a critical time because we know that we not only fight for Ukraine, we fight for this new world order for the democratic countries. We knew that we are the shield for the Europe. Right now, it's a critical time because we know that we not only fight for Ukraine, we fight for this new world order for the democratic countries. We knew that we are the shield for the Europe. Right.
We knew that we were the shield for the Euro, and not only are we fighting for Ukraine, we're fighting for the new world order. And so, yeah, I love just reminding people of the current power paradigm narrative that we are up against for the most part. Principalities and powers in evil places up at the top. And so I just want to put together, I just want to show something real quick, a spinoff of something that was put in the chat. So we see the person in the middle with the Fourth Industrial Revolution book, basically the script for executing this next world order. And then we see all the cronies and the puppets around this individual that's joined suit with this agenda. And of course, there's nobody that is too good to be mentioned on this list, in my opinion, from the Xi's to the Putins to the Bills to the George to the Macron to the Trumps to the Bill to the Clinton. So just so we all are aware that there's a lot of bad actors out there, but they're working towards the same agenda, which unfortunately does not put the humanity in a very good place. But yet, once again, from a biblical standpoint, we were all aware of this. And this has a lot to do with, as I always mention, this current power paradigm where, all the local politicians fall into this category. We got the corporation Wall Street sector, all the entities put together here, all working towards that agenda of, the eye at the top. We know what the eye is all about. So anyway, that's just a little something I want to start off with. But let's jump into some headlines. As always, for those that are tuning in, definitely let me know where you're watching from in the chat. Hit that thumbs up. Just hopefully the algorithms kick in, notify a couple more people. And as always, you got stories or whatnot you want to touch on, throw it out there in the chat. When the phone lines open up, we can talk further. All right, so let me just jump on some things that I think is worth mentioning. Outside of the noise of what we're being told, what we're seeing, regardless of that, there's a lot of people who are. It's no way you can't buy into the fear and the doom that's been put out there, because when you see stories, and whether they're real or not, who knows? But I don't doubt that there are actually people out there that's financially concerned with their current situation, given the fact we've been under severe attack for the last 2 years, being told what we can, what we can't do. So I'd imagine more people are probably questioning what's going on. And he says, IB says, no NWO, please. O word order. Yeah, take it for what it's worth. But, there's still a lot of extremely wealthy people that are trying to pull some strings behind the scenes. So, whether they succeed or not, that's in God's hands, but I'm going to keep moving. But it's good to know who your enemies are. Say keep your enemies close and keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Keep an eye on those people, even though the narrative is changing. But anyway, so let me jump to this real quick. So I've seen more than enough videos to try to kind of validate the fact that a lot of people in Russia are concerned, especially when, your stock market's closed, or your portfolios over the last couple of days don't look like they're performing extremely well. And, you're probably experiencing higher costs at the store, on the shelves with goods and services and stuff like that in some regions in Russia, I would imagine. And so here, long lines at Russia ATMs as bank runs begin, with more pain to come, analyst says. Once again, this is a Western puppet that's saying this. So to come, who knows? But once, as I said earlier in the video earlier, all this is a part of a bigger agenda. And along with that agenda, unfortunately, will come pain. That's why it's good for people that are awake and aware to try their best to minimize that pain by not being overly, overly dependent for the long haul of this in the current financial legacy paradigm that is shifting right before our very eyes. And so Russia ATM bank runs, something worth talking about. Here's another little headline here from a couple days ago, but it says Ukrainians and Russians are packing ATM lines, prompting fears of what happened in the U.S. during the Great Depression. That's a hell of a headline, wouldn't it? That'll get your attention. So you see a picture. This picture could be old as I don't know what, but once again, I imagine there's enough fear out there where more people are probably concerned with going to get some cash out right now. And so just something worthwhile. But then also, let's not forget what happened in Canada earlier this month. But this is a article from this past weekend. It says Canadian bank run continues. So this might be an isolated portion, right in the Ottawa area of Canada. But here is a picture of a tweet that I think lets you know that if it's not a bank run, the banks themselves, and this is what we should expect more of in the developed nations pretty soon, as more people probably question the narrative and start to feel more of a pinch. When a government decides to freeze bank accounts of ordinary Canadians because it doesn't like who they support, it should be a wake-up call. Can anyone blame Canadians for losing faith in the banking system? And then here is some information. It says, heads up, Scotiabank now has a max withdrawal amount per day of $2,000 cash. That is all. So withdrawal limitations, restrictions on how much you can withdraw will be something I would imagine here in the U.S., if not already. And also this, I think it was yesterday, I saw got some communication from some community members talking about ATMs being down, as well as possible limitations on being able to withdraw. So I would imagine before we experience some type of bank run in this country, or as well as probably, other nations, there'll probably be some restrictions and limitations on top of the fact, as I've always talked about, a lot of your small mom and pops, local commercial retail banks have already shut their doors, already limiting the exit points for people to get cash as things move forward. So 3 bank runs, 1 month is something worth paying attention to, in my opinion. So let me know you guys' thoughts on that, and we can keep it moving. So next headline. Here's something that really, and so this month is going to be somewhat of a truthful month for the FOMC and the Board of Governors, the group of unelected officials that basically control our national currency, as well as they are the overseers of the current world currency. And so here is something worth talking about, because I didn't hear about this much today, but this is very telling of the true true condition of our country. So today, the U.S. Chicago Purchasing Managers Index, or the PMI, came out, and boy, was it not pretty. And so we are trending down, meaning the current managers index determines the economic health of the manufacturing sector in the Chicago region. A reading above 50 indicates expansion of the manufacturing sector. A reading below that indicates a contraction. And so as of right now, we have been trending downward. And so the month of February came in at 56.3, and it was expected to be, or forecasted to be, around 63. So 56, 63, big difference. So that right there shows more of a contraction or lack of expansion, that the narrative that they're going to try to push out there towards us. But it flew under the radar because the primary distraction, of course, is on Russia. And so slowing economic conditions at the same time, the Fed is talking about tapering in, I think, about 2 weeks or so. We'll find out how that goes. And then on another note, something worth talking about, ISM Purchasing Managers Index is also trending downward. And so it's 2 consecutive months of not meeting expectations. So literally the talk of tightening into a slowing economy does not necessarily fare well. And as TB, I see you out there, deflation, that's definitely some deflationary type stuff. And that's not including the housing situation is slowing down and all the non-performing loans out there that are starting to ripple effect through the economy, basically heading back towards the commercial banking sector. So we have some interesting things going on where, slowing down and not enough currency creation, no stimulus packages in the last, year now, I think. So just going to be very interesting to see how things play out. And we'll keep it moving. Here is something worthwhile. While people in Russia in particular, it looks like as the people look for exits out of the system, the alternatives that people are going to happens to be things that might entice and interest a lot of people here. And so we have the Bitcoin volume spikes in Russia and Ukraine as sanctions hit. So more people are looking to diversify out of their national currencies by using the digital asset space because it's probably easier, quicker, and convenient for some. But then also, let's not forget about what the Bank of Russia is doing. They are deciding to get back into the weight game after it looks like taking a 2-year pause. That's from what we're being told. And that's what their current official holdings with the World Gold Council might have us believe is true. But yet the Russian region is so massive, it's hard to believe that they were not, mining for gold within their own borders and not telling the World Gold Council. And so between citizens fleeing into digital assets, and of course, a lot of, the big wealthier individuals probably, buying yachts and mansions and boats in other countries to, spread out their wealth a little bit. We got just people looking for exits. And so not only are they restricted on how much they can withdraw from the ATMs, but then also when they can withdraw, they're putting it into things other than keeping international currencies. And then here's something else worth talking about, because this is something that we can never see in a G7 nation. Russia's central bank doubles a key interest rate as sanctions spark economic turmoil. And so to combat the assault against their financial situation in their economy, they decided to just go through the roof with their interest rates. And given the fact that they have a low debt to GDP, they can afford to do this, and there not be any type of real side effects because they're not indebted like everybody else. So just could you imagine the Federal Reserve or any other developed nation like this just saying, hey, we're going to hike our rates to basically be able to offer some form of an incentive for people to invest in our debt, as well as pay our depositors more in rubles as well as in dollars and euros. So Central Bank of Russia capitulates key interest rate to 20%. So it was already creeping up since last year, March. They took it from 4.25 up to 5, and it's been going up ever since to support their currency, because the ruble, once again, is one of those currencies that is not necessarily part of the the big trading basket. And so they need to support their currency by making it worth people's while to invest in their country using their currency. So we see that happening there. But on top of that, let me just keep it moving. This next one here, it says, what is this? The BEAC raises interest rates on deposits in rubles to 18% and launches a new foreign currency deposit. So this is as of today. So the BEAC, I take it, is one of their local banks in Russia. So this is put out today. So it says, as a result, the maximum yield on a Prime's saving deposit, it says, available to holders of annual SBR Prime and subscription is 18%. On the savings deposit will be 16.5 per annum. On the promo managed deposit is 16%. So could you imagine, like right here in the heavily indebted world, I think the average savings rate is 0.01 on the dollar, as well as probably euro as well. I think euro is probably negative, I think, in some countries. But could you imagine earning? I think so. Also, Argentina, to my knowledge, because their inflation is 40-something% or 50%. I want to say last time I checked, they're paying their depositors 35% interest on keeping the pesos in the bank. So, is it really worth, getting a higher interest rate on a failing currency? Not really, but it's an incentive by the institutions that they try to keep people from actually trying to remove all their currency. But they're also, as it says here, if you keep foreign currency, you'll also get some yield on that. So currency savings in dollars that will reach 5%. So keep your dollars in the bank, you'll get 5%. If you got euros, you get 3.5%. I don't see people really want to keep their dollars and euros in the bank due to the lack of confidence, but who knows? But anyway, that's pretty much what I had on the table to touch on. And so what do you guys think, man? What's your perception of what's going on? And let me know. Let's open the phone lines. Let's talk. As always, it's the People's Talk Show. Curious to hear what your thoughts are and how things are happening, going in your neck of the woods. So let's talk. And as always, throw out some thoughts in the chat at Rethinking a Dollar, and we can jump on that right away and go from there. All right, let me see here. Let me check back. So Peekaboo says, what is this? Says Putin said he was getting rid of the Nazis in Ukraine. The Nazi world order also the bioweapons labs on his border. Remember, Gates said there will be a worse pandemic coming. Very true. I'm familiar with all that. It's definitely something worthwhile. And how could I forget? On top of all the concerns of the financial conditions in Russia worsening, every developed nation is, for most part, is deliberately coordinating to attack the Russian economy. They're getting their weight up by deciding to purchase more gold. But also, let's just remember, for holders of true sound money, what happens when you have already redeemed some of your national currency? Because mind you, for those that are, not too in tune with, monetary history, every single fiat currency, regardless of the peso, ruble, yuan, they were all sold to their population over the last 56 years as being redeemable as a forms of paper, and the fine print on each contract, i.e. currency unit, has evolved. And so, mind you, these units are always meant to be redeemable. That's how they were initially sold when, here in America, especially when the greenback first came out, they were redeemable. And so for people who keep that in the back of their mind, is that, when you get paper or digital versions of paper, it's only worth your while, in my opinion, to, return some to sender by redeeming those things for sound money. And a good example as to people who do that, here is what's happening right now in Russia as of today when it comes to those that have swapped out of the paper digital side for the physical metals and silver and gold. So here you see, this is a long-term chart. If you were a redeemer of paper for a long period of time, you would have never lost any of your purchasing power. You'd have preserved some of it through holding real metal. But here we have the last year, and literally within the last, let me just zoom in here. This is the week view. So as of this past Friday, one ounce of silver was fetching, you would have got you, let me see here. So this is today, so it just changed on me like that. But so as of today, 2,616.34 rubles for one silver shiny thing. And let's look at gold. This is gold, and this is about to refresh to today. So last time we checked this out was on Friday with the Mike and Mario show. So as you see, as it refreshed on the screen, it shot up even more. So as of right now, it's 208,000 rubles for 1 ounce of gold, and this is just within the last month here. So this is with this is with the last week. So from last week, 146 to 208 right now. If you were able to have gotten out, you would have not lost any of your purchasing power, relatively speaking. So as you see the importance of being aware of the importance of being able to redeem and get out of those fiat notes and digital versions of currency in times of crises, which is what a lot of people are experiencing now. So something to keep in mind for all my people out there. All right, let's keep moving. So I see more thoughts. Keep it here. So we got Crypto Chris says Russia knew what the response would be and have been planning this for 8 years. Crypto Chris, 100%, man. Like all the BRICS videos and stuff like that I've done throughout the years, basically just highlighting their activity as it unfolded and as it was reported to us. So mind you, we only know what the headlines told us throughout the last couple of years. And that's why I believe that the probability of them having some other type of system and something or another to roll out is definitely out there already. Dr. Motor says China's chips system will replace the SWIFT soon. They are the #1 global superpower now. Yeah, anything's possible. And so for the video I did earlier about the interconnectivity, the interoperability, or the interconnectedness, if that's a word, of Russia's, India's, and China's, and the EU's Instex, and Iran also got a little something on the side. If they were to all somehow, some way, on the technical side, be able to connect all that, checkmate, game over. We really don't need to use your payment network to settle, our financial situations. So definitely keeping our eyes on the BRICS moving forward. And this is how we can tell how things are either evolving or not. Will the U.S. and the EU and all those other partner nations, will they sooner or later put pressure on the BRICS nations? Will they put pressure on them to, either, hey, we need you to jump on board with these sanctions, because if you don't do it, we won't be successful in really closing off all the exit points to really smother the Russian economy unless we have you guys on board. But then again, as I was talking about over the last couple of years, we've witnessed how whenever there was a G20 or something like that, the G20 nations will get together. They'll have their 2-3 day retreat. Central banks, central bank representatives, treasurers, prime minister of finance, head premier of finance, all the people get together. And then the BRICS nations will have their 2-day little retreat after, or they'll have their special meeting, at a time that wasn't scheduled with anybody else to meet. And that's when they did all their, photo ops with the handshakes and stuff like that. And during all those meetings, to me, that's when they were probably working out the kinks to how they were going to try to maneuver some things in the future. And so I'm more than convinced that there is something already out there. And, a lot of people, I know I'm ranting. I got some calls. I'm going to get to them. I know a lot of people are talking about, the XRP people are right now, they're going crazy. They're going bananas right now. They are beyond excited at the fact that, they like XRP has already sealed the deal. Once this litigation is settled, oh my goodness, my bag gonna go through the roof. I'm like, okay. I hope you feel that way. I hope that is the case. I hope everybody has their hope and dreams in digital assets solely, I hope they are not let down. And for my people who dip and dabble in both and beyond, have diversifications and other things, you'll probably be in a much more comfortable situation to be able to withstand some fluctuations and over here, because, you didn't fall in love with one particular thing, so that's just something worthwhile. But once again, these BRICS, they've been holding hands for a long time. Believe me, them boys ain't coming together. You got grown men up there holding hands, smiling. They know something. Anyway, let's talk. Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Yeah, Mike. Steve, FEMA Region 9.
Steve, what's going on, my man? Give me a quick thought.
Hey, it's all scriptural. All the stuff's laid out. It's all laid out. Hey, first thing though.
Yeah.
That we can get off the table real quick. Mystery Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say, "Oh, it's the U.S. It's the U.S." It's not the U.S. All I got to do is you don't have to be a Bible scholar or anything. Mm-hmm. Just use whatever search engine you want to use, and just type in King James Bible Mystery Babylon. Mm-hmm. It clearly states that it's a city over and over again. Mm-hmm. It states it's a city, but you hear some people say that the U.S. is Mystery Babylon. Not that it's not as corrupt as Mystery Babylon, but it's a city. It's not a nation. Okay, that being said, real quick, Daniel chapter 7 covers the nations that will be around in the end times. Mm-hmm. Daniel chapter 7. Mm-hmm. And people can Google these things too. Google or whatever search engine they want to use. The lion is Great Britain. Mm-hmm. The eagle is the U.S., which we already know this. Yeah. And the U.S. has the two symbols, the eagle and Uncle Sam. Boom. The bear is Russia. Leopard. The leopard is Germany with 4 heads. They're known for their German tanks and all the rest of that type stuff. Yeah. The owl is France. The EU is the horns. That being said, that's just talking about the end time nations that will be around at the end times. Yeah. And then you go to Revelation chapter 13, which is during the time that the Antichrist is in power. Which how do you know that? Because now those 10 horns or whatever, they have crowns on them, and it says that basically the guy's running things. Mm-hmm. The thing for anybody living here in the U.S., I'm specifically talking about people who live here in the U.S., nowhere else.
Yeah. Hey, man.
The difference is.
Yeah.
No,
I was going to say, no, this, 13, yeah. Go finish up for me.
In chapter 13, Revelation chapter 13, the eagle's wings are not there anymore. If that makes sense. Yeah. The eagle's wings are not there anymore, which means two things. Could be good or bad. Either the U.S. is destroyed, or the U.S. kind of backs off of that Antichrist system, or somewhat.
Well, hey,
it's only one or two.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's the timing of things, because they meaning the global orchestrators of this experience, they're trying to basically remove borders and unify nations. So I remember seeing visual aids about how they're going to try to reunite Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. together and call it some particular name. So if they were to succeed from that standpoint of trying to just knock down borders, put us all together so that it makes it easier to consolidate power under one government with one currency and one everything like that. I don't know the timing of all that, but biblically speaking, that's the evil one's objective in the long run, I think. So, how it plays out, who knows? But these events we're experiencing now definitely play into it at some extent, some level. You know what I'm saying? So, but hey, let me get some more calls, man. I appreciate you as always.
No doubt about that. I guess the big thing is the only thing that people should hear in the U.S. I'm talking about the U.S., not the rest of the world. Here, chapter 7, the eagle's wings are there in Daniel chapter 7. Mm-hmm. In Revelation 13, the eagle's wings are not there. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the hope. Here's the hope. Anyway, I don't know if the U.S. will be destroyed or blah blah blah. I don't know that. Yeah. but here's the hope out of that. Mm-hmm. Revelation 12:14 talks about when Israel is going through their thing and the Antichrist is going for their throat. That there's the eagle's wings are provided. If that makes sense.
Right. Hey, man, I appreciate you, man.
So anyway,
we got to get a biblical scholar, a couple of biblical scholars to break that down for us. But thanks for calling, man.
All right, bro.
Be good.
You guys take care.
Yep.
Later.
Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Mike, Tony from Oakland. How you doing, brother?
TB, doing good, man. Give me a quick thought.
One more again, and then I'm gonna say, what do you do when people thumb their nose at you?
Huh? When people thumb their nose at me?
What do you do when Russia's thumbing their nose at you, giving you the middle finger?
When nations are giving me the middle finger.
When Russia.
Right. You continue. You double down. You come up with another narrative. You come up with another excuse to further try to put the clamps on them, I assume.
No, you can't do anything. You've been tested in Venezuela. You've been tested in Syria.
Yeah.
You've been thrown out of Afghanistan, and now you want to try to fake the money system and tell them that you've thrown off what happens if I tell you can't use your credit card and you need to use your credit card or you need to find some form of payment? What are you going to do?
I'm gonna come up with something else, but I'm gonna try to use it first and make sure it is truly as you say it is.
Right. You're gonna pay cash. You're gonna write the checks. You're gonna barter. You're gonna do anything you can. You ain't throwing me off the system.
Right.
You just make me find other ways of using my money.
Right.
And it's only you and me. It's not me and China. It's not me and Afghanistan. It's all these other countries who are on the SWIFT who can trade in the SWIFT.
Right. Right.
If you want to hit me in the pocketbook, you're gonna have to come awful stronger than that.
No doubt. So that's why I don't think Putin and Russia, of course, the people who know what's going on, I don't think they're sweating it as bad as they want the mainstream media to make it feel like, they're bringing the pain on them type of thing.
Putin threw in his B team. He threw in his B team, and the B team is just going door to door saying, "Are you with us or against us?" Right. I'm with you. Okay, we move down the street and bombing military facilities. He ain't in there. He ain't like the U.S. U.S. going and destroy everything with a hammer.
Right.
And he's methodical because he's going to do the same thing. Everybody's taken from our playbook. He's going to do the same thing that we did when we took over Ukraine. He's going to insert his own puppet, his own government, the military he's going to need.
Yeah.
So ain't no sense of destroying them because I ain't got enough people to back me up. But I'm going to show you how good a time you could have had if you had stayed in Russia's camp. There's nobody that's going to do anything about it but sit and watch because there's nobody that can do anything about it.
Right.
It's all about this Nord Stream 2. If they get Nord Stream 2 through there, they got Europe covered. They're just going to march right on down. Sweden, you next. You next, and they're just going to go down the line.
Right. Now watch this.
But
the disruptor of all that, once the world realized that once again, like the narrative from last 2 years ago, there's not really, there anymore, is that they're on to the next thing. And that's where, the idea of some type of false flag event that could really try to push Russia and Putin over the top. And just the fact they talked about nuclear, just using that word itself never, comes off good. So, if you're losing them bad enough, you're going to lose, you can't really win, you play dirty and you do something that, you can't take back.
Check this out. You got a nuclear weapon. I got a nuclear weapon.
Nobody
Who goes
wins.
first?
Nobody wins. Who goes first?
I got a nuclear weapon. You got a nuclear weapon. Who goes first? You or me?
The team is losing. The sore loser.
Okay, so if the team that's losing does it, then the team that's winning is going to do it right behind it because you can't get a nuclear to my home unless you go through Turkey. If I see that thing head off out of Turkey, mine is I'm throwing 2 instead of 1.
Right, but also keep in mind, we're talking about, like sending them in the form of, the hypersonic missiles. So, I think their missiles will get here before or get to their destination before ours probably would. But then again, who knows what station in Ukraine somewhere. So we don't know how long those things been stashed and something. We don't know where the boys could be at. So they could probably already have some miniature nukes, in Russia right now, just like Russia could have some here right now. So we don't know. But
when it comes to nuclear, everybody knows what everybody's got. There's no big secret because look how long Iran's been making nuclear stuff, and they've been, they're almost there. All they need is the rods. All they need. Everybody knows what everybody got as far as nuclear. I'm not worried about nuclear. I'm worried about the next monetary system that's coming along, and the next one, and China's not even ready for it. Everybody's like, "Oh, China's stepping up next month, next week, next year." No, that they are not going to outsource to me, my opinion. They aren't going to outsource the IMF. They got to revalue that basket in July. We have a Fed meeting in March, and then we got another 5 years before the BRICS nation come along. It's just a slow, methodical build up to it, and we're getting cart before the horse.
Right. Well, hey man, as always, I appreciate you, man. We get some more calls in.
Beautiful, brother. Keep your head up.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. So yeah, it's a lot. We got a lot to consider as to what's happening and how things are unfolding. But we know one thing: at this current moment, in 2 weeks, the Federal Reserve will be getting together, trying to, I guess, continue their interest rate hike, quantitative easing, dialing back, and quantitative tightening. So we'll find out how that goes. And like I always say, we are approaching the end of that 90-day period, which I was talking about months ago, as to paying attention to the narrative. Like, will there be an event? And of course, since that time frame, since the end of December, beginning of January, I said be on the lookout for some type of event. And the event, in my opinion, it happens to be the narrative that's being used now, which is Russia, Ukraine, and the fact that you got the EU looking to do things they've never done before. Their army, they're sending troops, and I listened to the EU guy talk about spending $300-400 million worth of military and equipment, and 50 million of ammunition, gas, fuel. So the NATO is actually, they've never, to my knowledge, been used at this capacity. They are now ramping up for something, and they're going to now try to push towards the Ukrainian-Russian region. And that stuff just doesn't go well. It just won't end well. And so we got the Russia and Ukraine talks. It looks like it stalled today. They're going to do it again tomorrow or something. So we'll see. But in the meantime, dirty actors, man, play dirty. So this will not be resolved in a very smoothed out, talked handshake type of ordeal, in my opinion. Anyway, let's keep moving, man. So I am missing some calls. Let's get some more calls in. Feel free to let me know what's on your ground, what you're seeing in your neck of the woods. Greg, we know how that's this whole medical experimentation, what that's all about as well. Roger. Yeah, I wish it did. In that case, I would wear one with no problem. Anyway, let's keep it moving, man. Feel free to let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods. What are you keeping an eye on? This week coming up, what else is underway that we have not touched on? Feel free to bring it to our attention. And let's make it work, man. Let's make it work. All right, some more calls here. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How's it going?
LBP doing good, man. What's on your mind? Give me a quick thought.
Yeah, what's going on with Russia, man? Hurry up and nuke everybody. What are they waiting for?
Right. I hope that don't come to pass, man.
Look. They're all crying about the SWIFT. Them people, they were never in the SWIFT. They're helping them.
Yeah. The fact that the SWIFT is becoming a primary topic, where when you see headlines giving a description, what is the SWIFT? How does the SWIFT impact Russia? How does the SWIFT? So when you got all these news streams talking about SWIFT, that's what they want us to focus on, while there's something else happening under the scenes. So, yeah.
Look, Mike, this is what I think is going to happen. They're gonna try to blame this what is it, the global cyber pandemic. They're going to blame it on Russia. They're going to tell, it's because we kicked them off the SWIFT, so they retaliated. They got it all set up, Mike.
Right. Good point. And that framework has already been set up and it's underway. So, yeah. But, one of the things is interesting. So I'm sure everybody has to be aware of this, but as a payback towards Russia, because they're so evil and this and that, whatever, you have all of these stores that already purchased Russian liquor, they're removing Russian vodka from shelves all across the country now. So because of what's happening. So it's like, somebody already paid for that, I'm sure, and they're pulling it off the shelves as if it's going to really stick it to Putin and hurt his pockets or something like that. So interesting stuff.
It's ridiculous. He's got the gold. He'll be all right, just like we will.
Right. They got more gold than we know about. And, China and Russia haven't been holding hands for the last decade plus for no reason. So, hey, man, appreciate you as always, boss.
All right, Mike. Thanks for taking my call. Yep. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Yeah, good stuff, man. So, yeah, it's crazy. You know, man, it's removing the vodka is going to really hurt Russia. So anyway, but we know what's going on. They need as many distractions as possible. All right, what else we got here? Let's check in the chat real quick. LBP CIA. Oh man, interesting. All right, man. So we're at that 45-minute mark. Let's get ready to dial back. As always, for those that are tuned in, appreciate you for joining us and plugging in. You know, we have more than enough warning signs about all the things that they are trying to throw our way. And just today, you know, once again, cyber attack, you know, the word cyber attack was thrown out there again. And it's one of those things, prepare, you know, like, you know, really, you know, they're putting all the pressure as far as, you know, attacking the Russian economy to make it that much easier for them to say, you know, if Russia attacks any of the NATO countries with the cyber attacks, that will trigger the Article 5, and that will give us the right to just, you know what I'm saying? Cyber attack on NATO could trigger collective defense clause, official says. So, right. Other than them looking for things to try to sell this narrative, they're coming out of the woodworks with all types of stuff, basically saying that if Poland happens to have a cyber attack, you know, we're going to respond. So we're going to hear more of this for some time to come. Unfortunately, until something does actually happen and we know who they're going to try to pin it on. So in the meantime, once again, do as much as you can to limit and minimize your dependency on this old system as it's crumbling down, as hard as that will be. But just like what's happening in Ukraine, as well as in Russia and probably even Canada with our brothers and sisters having issues, you know, with their government, expect the same here. And we got, you know, on the bad news, in my opinion, that Freedom Convoy that's halfway through the country heading to D.C., that won't play out too good. And it's going to play in the hands of those that want to do more damage as far as destroying our economy and our country. So I think it's a bad idea, man, for that truck convoy to be heading to D.C. because it will do absolutely nothing. What would have made a big difference is if each individual state would have had a convoy heading towards their capital, putting pressure on each individual governor and all the representatives in each state to come to an agreement that all 50 governors, all representatives will then go to D.C. on behalf of the people and enact some laws that makes a difference. Because, you know, we can't make change in D.C. when D.C. is not even really a part of the United States in general. So they're their own separate entity. So anyway, let's get it down back. Appreciate everybody for hanging out. Back at it again tomorrow, same time, same place. And yeah, once again, be blessed, be safe. And if you, as I mentioned, if you're new, hit this bell notification, hit the subscribe button. Definitely share these videos so more people can find out what's going on and invite them to the fold. And other than that, we back at it tomorrow. And I will see you guys later. Peace. Visit Rethinking the Dollar throughout the day. Your place for news on metals, gold, crypto, you name it. Scroll down to the bottom and you'll get a chance to see the daily videos, the recommended videos, and more importantly, the 5 reasons to unplug from the monetary matrix, with the first one being the awakening period. Step number 1, test your dollar IQ. 10 simple questions, average is 60%. Follow up with the alternative perspective with the monetary reports. Consider becoming a supporter of the Rethinking the Dollar platform via Patreon. Get a chance to hang out off air as well as additional information that can't be discussed on YouTube. Any support is helpful. With the crackdown on alternative media, the best thing to do is connect off air. Scroll down to the very bottom. You can find Rethinking the Dollar on Telegram, audio, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, you name it. The most important ones will be the email list where you can get notified weekly, the Discord page, and make sure you connect on Telegram. And last, don't forget to visit the RTD store where you can get merchandise as well as additional information and resources. And most importantly, scroll down to the bottom and get your weight up with all the limited edition rounds only available on the RTD store.